Hello there. Can I help you at all?
I'm not sure I'm in the right place, actually. I'm interested in joining the local Green Party.
Yes, you're in the right place, and I'm the man to talk to. I'm the main organizer.
All right, good. Well, I'm new to the area, actually. I used to belong to a party up in the north, so I'm just trying to get involved here. Now that I've moved here.
Okay, great. Would you like to become an official member today, or would you just like event information?
Yes, I'd like to join today, please.
Great. Right then. I just need to take a few details.
Sure.
First of all, your name, please.
Nikki Harabin.
Harabin. Is that double R?
That's right. Harrarabin.
Okay. And Nikki, Nicky?
Nicci.
Okay, thanks. And could I take a contact number for you, Nikki?
Sure, I'll give you my mobile, okay?
Okay.
That's 025 3523 3419.
025 3523 3419.
Yeah, that's it.
And for the membership, I will need your full address too.
Sure. It's 236 East Brent Street, Carlton.
East Brent Street. Okay, thank you. And sorry, I also need your postcode.
Oh, no problem. I can't remember it, but I'm sure I've got it here somewhere. Hang on. Here we are. CT9 5PY.
Okay, thanks very much.
So could you tell me about some of the events you're organising?
Yes, of course. We've got a couple of things coming up. Next weekend we're holding our quarterly meeting, so you're just in time for that. And then...
Sorry, when's the meeting?
On the 13th. It's a Sunday, and it's pretty much an all-day event, really. We start at 9:30, finish about 6ish. There's also a meal in the evening for those who are interested.
Oh, right, okay. Sounds interesting, yeah.
Yeah, actually, it would be a great opportunity for you to meet everyone. Well, most of the other members, anyway.
And presumably we have to pay for the evening meal, yeah?
Yes, but it's not expensive. We use a local hotel, and I think this month it'll be £15 a head.
Oh, right, okay. And did you say there was another event soon?
That's right. We're holding a rally on the 20th. We're protesting against the lack of effort from the local government regarding greenhouse emissions. They're just not doing enough in this part of the country.
Oh, really? Well, I definitely want to come along to that as well, yeah.
Okay, well, we're all meeting at 10 at the park entrance, just in front of City Hall.
Seminar, everyone. It seems that these days, when it comes to being green at home, many of us would get 9 out of 10, at least for effort. We separate our rubbish, we take old stuff to the recycle centre, we switch off electrical equipment at the wall instead of leaving it on standby, and we wash our clothes at 30 degrees Celsius. We even give up our precious cars for more eco-friendly alternatives. Get to the office, however, and our approach seems to change. So, today we're going to look at some of the reasons we seem to be failing in the workplace in terms of being greener, and also look briefly at what measures we can take to improve the situation. First of all, a couple of statistics according to a recent survey. 1 in 3 office workers say laziness stops them from being greener at work. In addition, only 11% of company buyers consciously choose green office supplies, and furthermore, just 34% of companies chose to consume less energy in a bid to reduce their working carbon footprint. If all that were not enough, 2/3 of office workers say they are not aware that their organisation has any environmental targets in place, and 1/3 of all UK companies still do not have any recycling facilities. So firstly, why the lazy attitude? Well, Professor Malcolm Johnson, an expert in people's behaviour in the workplace, believes it's all about responsibility, or what he refers to as the diffusion of responsibility, simply meaning we are all hoping someone else will do it. Another problem, according to Johnson, is that people who are green at home may not want to seem as an eco-nag by their colleagues. These people realise that there are a lot of people in their workplace and that not all these people share their outlook. So people who are green at home do not feel they have a right to push their beliefs at work. This seems to tie into another problem of being green at work, the problem of having many more people to take into account. For example, one of the quickest ways of lowering energy use is to reduce the office temperature to the recommended 19 degrees Celsius. Every degree higher apparently adds 10% extra to a company's fuel bill. But, as Johnson points out, in order to do this, we would have to negotiate the temperature with our other colleagues. The same would be true, of course, for lighting, and so this would mean crossing lines in our working relationships which we haven't crossed previously and which we don't have to cross at home. So it seems that perhaps it's not about a lazy attitude after all. It seems to be more about us not feeling comfortable taking the initiative at work in fear of acting alone or fear of becoming unpopular. In terms of what can be done, it seems clear that the company needs to make the first move and get things out in the open. Most people are willing to put in the effort, but they need the company to take the lead. The good news is that it's much easier to speak about green issues with employees these days than in the past. Organisations no longer have to justify their concerns for green issues because these days most people really understand them. So, having produced a clear message from the top, a company then needs to formalise things. Targets have to be set, and if things are really going to improve, performance needs to be measured against these targets. Without constant monitoring, as with most targets, they're unlikely to be achieved. In addition, rewards need to be in place too. An example I particularly like is a system used by an Australian company who have taken to putting smiley face stickers on the desk of an employee each time he or she is seen to be doing a good job of recycling stuff, and a sad face sticker every time he or she is seen not to be doing so. It seems that people really do not want to get the sad face sticker, and so the system works really well. Okay then, before we finish, just a reminder of some of the practical steps we can all take in the workplace. Turning off your PC, printers and lights before you go home can make a huge difference. Frequently cleaning staff leave lights on at the end of their shift so that office workers who arrive early in the morning don't have to do so in the darkness, but clearly this can waste hours and hours of energy.
Sorry, Brian.
Something else
So
which
how long do we have for the
frequently happens-
presentation?
Between 25 and 30 minutes, and we can't go over or they'll just stop us.
So, right, it must be under 30 minutes.
But there is 5 minutes at the end for questions.
Yes, I remember that. And does this one contribute to the final grade?
Oh yeah, they're going to assess us.
Okay, so we decided to focus on the carbon footprint. So what are we going to put in? We can't cover everything, can we?
No, I don't think so. I don't think we should try. But we do need to include some of the basics like measuring the difference between carbon emissions and greenhouse gases. People always think they are one of the same.
Yes, definitely. That's a very good point. Listen, should I make some notes on my laptop? Then I can email them to you when we finish?
Good idea.
Okay, so differentiate between greenhouse gases and carbon emissions. Do you think we ought to go into the background of this? I mean, how it all came about?
I don't think we'll have time for that, and most people already know that anyway.
Okay.
I think it might be worth listing the other gases which are greenhouse gases. I mean, people believe there's just one, carbon dioxide.
Good point. After that, should we move on to indirect emissions?
Yeah, we definitely need to include both direct and indirect.
So what do you think about giving some examples and then getting the audience to calculate the carbon footprint?
You mean explain to them first how to use a carbon calculator?
Well, that would be very interactive, and it would involve them more. I think it's a good idea. How much time would we need for that?
Quite a bit. Look, shall we think about that one?
Okay, but anyway, we do need to explain that indirect emissions depend on how energy intensive the production process is of anything you buy.
I think we need to do that. And how about a list of some of the high energy intensive products?
Well, again, it's a question of time. Shall we come back to that when we've finished?
Okay then.
So in terms of how to present this, I think there's a lot of ways we can make it come alive. Photos we can use, etc.
Yeah, I think so. And also because there'll be quite a few foreign students there, we need to make a PowerPoint presentation so they can follow it as easily as possible.
Yes, that would help a lot. But we'll need a projector for that, won't we?
Apparently we can borrow one from the film club. I can see to that.
Okay, and what about photos of emissions from factories and cars? Something with impact, something that we can use to start with,
Well, actually the Language Centre is a really good place for those. They have loads of flashcards there, and we can just scan a few of them onto a disc.
Excellent. We'll need to give some hard figures for each point we're trying to make, for the introduction to highlight the damage being done.
So, current figures from a government body or association?
Yes, it's going to be a bit weak without some data to back things up.
Sure. Well, that's easy. We'll just do a quick web search.
Of course. Okay. Then what else?
Well, another idea I had, just to finish off with, is to give everyone a bookmark.
A bookmark?
Yeah, a local printer I know offered to let me have enough for the presentation. They're really cool because they have a website address for the carbon footprint site on the back, and a kind of green fields, blue sky image on the front. What do you think?
Unusual, but a really nice
Good evening,
idea.
ladies and gentlemen.
Do we have to pay?
The material in our spotlight this evening is rubber. As you probably know, natural rubber derived from the gum of a tree has been around for some time. Fossils of rubber-producing plants can be dated back almost 3 million years. Some rubber balls, found in Central and South America, are about 1,000 years old. About the same time, in Southeast Asia, natives were using a rubber substance from trees to waterproof their baskets and jars. And Columbus, during his second voyage to the New World, witnessed Haitian natives playing with balls made from the gum of a tree. Today, of course, we use rubber, both natural and synthetic, in a huge range of products and industries. Interestingly, about 50% of rubber consumption is accounted for by the transport industry, specifically the production of tires and tire-related products. Top of this list are tires for trucks and for buses, followed by tires for cars. The remaining 50% is consumed, in part by the industrial sector, to make such products as industrial belts, tubes, linings, and bearings. And a fair amount goes into the consumer market for products such as footballs, footwear, gloves, and clothing, condoms as well, of course. A third large consumer is the medical sector, and here the list of applications for rubber is very long indeed. So that's just a brief reminder of how reliant we have become on rubber. Now, despite the invention of synthetic rubbers, it seems there is often no good substitute for the real thing. The reason being that nothing artificial yet matches the natural rubber's main qualities, resilience and strength. And the reason for this is that natural rubber molecules are produced using a step-by-step blending process and consequently have a much more regular structure than the artificial synthetic rubber molecules made by chemical engineering. Returning to tires momentarily, around a fifth of an average car tire then still has to be made of natural rubber. In an airplane tire, that figure can be more than 4/5. Moreover, the price of synthetic rubber is tied to the price of oil, from which it's made, rendering it quite vulnerable to changes in the oil price. Because oil is forecast to become more costly in the future, natural rubber still seems to be a more attractive alternative to the synthetic version, from an economic point of view, as well as an engineering one. There are tough problems with natural rubber. Growing Hevea brasiliensis, the tree responsible for over 96% of the world's rubber supply in the Americas, is a hard task. A disease called leaf blight means the trees have to be spaced widely. Even in Asia currently, a blight-free zone planting new rubber trees can often mean cutting down rainforest, an act which understandably is met with worldwide disapproval. Even then, the trees, being large, take time to grow to the point where they can yield a crop. So a smaller plant that could be harvested for its rubber therefore has obvious appeal. The humble and extremely delicate dandelion, apart from being an ingredient in some exotic salads, herbal teas, and a few wines, is a pretty useless plant. Or at least it was. However, it now seems that one species, a Russian variety, commonly known as TKS, may yet secure its place in history. This plant produces molecules of rubber in its sap, and if 2 research programs, one going on in Germany and one in America, come to fruition, it could supplement or possibly even replace the traditional Hevea rubber tree. Dandelions are regarded as weeds for a reason. They're robust, fast-growing plants that can be pulled up for processing and resown easily. The TKS species could possibly yield 2 harvests a year. If they could be turned into usable crops, they could even outstrip Hevea. With this in mind, the German team have been working to identify the genes that allow TKS to produce usable rubber. In particular, they have discovered an enzyme that is responsible for making its rubbery sap thicken. From the plant's point of view, this thickening is a good thing. The evolutionary purpose of rubber, and the reason why it has appeared independently in plants as diverse as trees and dandelions, is that it gums up the mouth parts of insects. Human users, however, do not want the sap to thicken too much and too soon, so the German team have developed a way to delay the thickening, thereby allowing the rubber to be extracted more easily from the plant. Meanwhile, the American team is working on increasing the yield of rubber from TKS. They are doing things perhaps the old-fashioned way, growing different strains of TKS, grinding up the roots, where most of the sap is found, to see which strains have the highest rubber content. They then simply crossbreed the winners. Their aim is to create a plant that is both high-yielding and has roots chunky enough to be harvested mechanically by the sort of device now used to pick carrots. Combining these 2 approaches, the high-tech bioengineering and the low-tech plant breeding,